Welcome to Sib Spot. Today's featured Reddit stories are from MaliciousCompliance. Story 1 today is by Superb Raccoon. These are the new metrics? Okay, everyone is fired. So I work at a large company, Fortune 50 company. But like everywhere, management comes up with one-size-fits-none metrics. The latest was revealed to us by our manager, who is surprisingly the hero of the story. It has always been the metric that if you fell below 70% of your quota on a quota-eligible role, you risk being put on a performance review plan. It is also well known that anyone getting on a PRP is pretty much toast. Either you get fired for failing the PRP, or you are first on the next layoff list. And usually they replace you with a newbie fresh out of college in one of the two lower bands. My particular team is made up of all senior people. Every one of us is in one of the top 2 skill grades. So we know we are a target, which is insane, as all of us engage the C-suite at other very large Fortune 500 companies and act as trusted advisors. We cannot be replaced by a new grad with intern-level performance. So our intrepid hero, my boss, is pulled into a 2-day seminar about 2 months ago that goes all the way to the General Manager of Sales, Americas. Several senior HR members are there too. It's a rare in-person meeting, so people are cautious, but at least they know it's not a mass layoff kind of deal, as the first day is about the path forward and how important our division is to the company's strategy. They go on about how our division is the front line of expanding sales in our partner program to take it from 60% revenue to 85% revenue, with 75% of new growth expected to come from the partner channels. The company is absolutely relying on our division and our skilled staff to deliver on that goal. The second day is different, however. In the afternoon, they lay out the new plan for technical sellers, 80% attainment per year and backdating 2 years. It is a rare in-person meeting, so people are cautious, but my manager goes into, I am just asking questions mode. So let me understand. If last year they hit 100% attainment, and 75% of the team did, but the previous year they hit 79%, they are on a PRP? HR hems and haws. Well, yes, that is how it would work. I see, and there are no exceptions? The GM speaks up. That's correct. Everyone must be a top performer. No exceptions. My manager starts gathering his things up. Would you mind if I skip the rest of the day? I have a lot of work to do, apparently. The GM looks at him. Well, no, we have more to cover. What is so urgent? He looks at the GM and maliciously complies with the stated metrics. Based on the metrics in the no exceptions rule, I have to prepare PRPs for my entire team. No exceptions. I will need to start the open headcount to hire replacements for everyone, too. The GM looks confused, attempting to digest this new information. Most of the rest of the managers stick their hands up. We need to go too. We need to write up PRPs for all our people too and submit open headcounts. A quick count shows that 80% of our division would be on a PRP. Given the failure rate, that means about 70% of the team will be fired, 10% will be layoff, and 20% will remain. For the growth strategy of the company, the tip of the spear in partner sales, my boss points out that retention of personnel and reduced turnover is part of the roll-up objectives, as well as attainment of his reports. That means that he will be PRP'd, as well as his manager and her manager, all the way up the chain. No exceptions. The meeting wraps up after the discussion dies down, and the GM says they are not implementing this now, but in a few months. In those 2 months, there are more online meetings, questions asked, more data pulled from the HR systems, meetings with HR and legal, who is now very interested in this plan of theirs, culminating in a meeting this last Monday where the revised plan is revealed. A new exceptions plan has been put in place, at the insistence of the legal department. Gone is the informal, put together a package to be evaluated for an optional exception for your employee. Now there is a set of formal exceptions that cover a number of categories. Legal ones, like taking family leave or medical short-term disability in the last 3, and functional ones like having been moved between departments or job titles or having a non-quota designation in the last 2 years. If the quota plan changed significantly or had a metric with no previous history to set the target. There is 10 or 12 categories depending on if you count the overlaps. An exception resets the timer to the next calendar year, so if someone qualifies in January, they are off the hook until next January. Turns out everyone in the division now qualifies for one or more of these exceptions. Imagine that. Epilogue. Turns out HR did not do an analysis on how many people would be impacted in our division, as the numbers were done worldwide, over 100,000 employees with quota, not by department. Their numbers said 11% of us would end up on PRPs. Let's not get into how they're trying to reduce headcount by driving people into leaving or retiring early. Also, when legal found out that they were backdating the requirement, they went ballistic. Legal also went spare when they saw no exceptions for federally protected leave like family or medical disability. Gotta love my new boss. He looks out for us, often by maliciously complying with stupid requirements. They need to have 80% attainment or they get put on this thing that basically means that someday they're going to be fired. That's insane for people who are very highly skilled, highly trained, and irreplaceable. Your manager handled it pretty well by being the leader in that room of managers who basically said, I gotta go. I gotta fire my entire team and start hiring replacements for every single role. Like 80% of the people are gonna be gone. That's just crazy. They set the percentage way too high. I don't know how they figure that their department is going to have to fire 11% of people and instead it turns out to be 80. That's not a very good calculation on their part. But thank goodness your manager stuck up for you guys at that meeting, because this change would have been implemented if he hadn't stood up and said, well, I gotta go fire my whole team. And they had no idea that that's what they were going to be forced to make them do. Our next story today is by Ride. Black Pants. I was a pharmacist at a Safeway in Arizona, and my boss was a malignant narcissist, like textbook case. I enjoyed talking to customers and answering questions, which she hated as it was something she couldn't control. She was a fanatic about small things, like putting covers on the computer keyboards every night when closing. Pharmacist positions in that town were scarce, and I couldn't afford to quit, so I obeyed her weird directives and didn't say anything. When the regional manager came to town, they'd go to lunch for hours. Yay, and gossip. I grew tired of her intense and constant supervision, but there wasn't much I could do. She was desperate to find something about my work she could criticize. One day I arrived to my shift and she looked at me closely, then announced that my pants weren't black enough and proceeded to write me up. The dress code was black pants or skirt, black shoes, and white coat. I went out after work and bought a couple pairs of black Dickies work pants about 3 sizes too big, and a chain belt from Hot Topic, as well as some goth jewelry, lots of skulls and stuff. Also, some Doc Martens, effectively becoming a goth girl in my mid-40s. I figured out the makeup with the help of a neighbor's kid. Next shift I showed up and she was speechless, but there wasn't a darn thing she could do about it. Nothing in the dress code said I couldn't wear that. The RM showed up and they took a really long lunch, but couldn't figure out a way to write me up again. What really got to her was when a secret shopper showed up and I helped him with some over-the-counter items, and subsequently was awarded a Smile Award. I did make him laugh when I explained how to take Metamucil powder more easily. I got a free donut and a cup of coffee while she was sent to Smile School because of her dour manner. Good for you. Your pants aren't black enough. I will turn my entire demeanor and soul into blackness. But I'll keep smiling and helping people because that's the most important thing that you can do when you're in customer service. I'm glad to find out that the secret shopper wasn't afraid to talk to you with all your goth makeup and jewelry and boots on and everything. Our stories for today have come to a close until we meet again. Have a remarkable day.